C, D, E, and F. One of the designers of post events A and B.
Pull that microphone over in front of you.
You guys can tell me.
No, we're taping, we gotta do it.
So just a little history on the new courses. Back in 2008, I think that was Las Vegas Finals, there was a big outcry that the finals dogs had to have some other kind of course besides going around the fence. Nobody stepped up to make a course. And I worked on the courses for a good 2 years before I ever presented it in the 2009 Nationals, where I had a PowerPoint presentation, and I have worked tons of lessons on them, worked all kinds of different dogs on events, started students, small arenas, because the cry was, and Rachel, she was here, there was a big cry that had to be something that fit and we could work in a 200 size arena that could be 1.5 points. There was a big cry, they wanted to make more points in a new course off the course. So, you know, I worked on it. I worked really hard on it. Kind of just either or. Okay, so how many people have judged it but not worked a dog on the courses? Yeah, so, and most of you have judged and worked your dog or trialed through it. That's good. So that's a majority. So that helps. Because I got a lot of criticism also about, there's a lot of people that like to paper judge, but it is a reality when you get out there and actually handle different levels of dogs on it. I did not design the courses to be mechanical, and I'm not going to go into that as far as defensing wise, but every one of the obstacles comes from something that I do at my place on a day-to-day basis. So we'll just start off with the direction, I believe, on course D. We did have a take pen on both our courses. You can set the stock out, and it was made to be optional so that we can utilize whatever facility had. If they can't make a take pen, they can set it out. The handler's line for advance, the wordage that says at the advanced handler line was meant to be at the handler's line. At the time, which on my trips here, I did read the wordage, but I cannot find it again. There was a crux length when you stood beside the center pin in course B, and that was the general idea, that you stand at the handler's line wherever you feel fit to take control of the stock within a crux length. And that was done because we do work cattle. Cattle don't normally fetch at that close of an area, and to try to bring them off the fence, you can strategically have the handlers set themselves at different areas and let your dog create a wedge to bring them to the center. Those are all beneficial. It wasn't meant for the dog to bring them straight to you if you can't get them to come to you. Sheep fetch better, so the people that stand here and you have nice sheep like the sheep are at the finals, you can show your dog off and bring your stock to you. It does allow you to let your dog bring stock straight to you rather than shorten them up. Of course B, your dog never finishes the go-by flank. So those were the intentions on that. The first obstacle, you could be in a small pen and you still have to hit a gate in a feedlot and put stock through the middle. It's, you know, I find that the cry to take that obstacle off is unnecessary. So you pass through there in the rules. I think I have it highlighted here on page 12 of course D, which I think it's in all the obstacles. Number 3.12.4b, the transition for the control points, for controlling them on the gather and the take pen to the drive to obstacle 1 is half the distance. That's where the transition takes over. Yes, in a 100 by 200 arena, that is really short. My arena, this handler's line from here to down here is 100 and something feet down at the bottom end of the arena, a long arena. I don't think that we're breeding our dogs to be working in feedlots all the time. We have pasture works, that's the variables between course, you know, even A and B, and large arenas versus little arenas. Sometimes they're small. Yes, this is tight, the cattle arena was tight in there in the arena, and that was not that, you know, it was like 24 feet longer than a middle-sized arena. It was doable. It was not impossible. Yeah, you came out there, but it was still doable. So as you cross through here, the hardest part of the whole course is from here to here. And so it does have the most points on your course points as far as the control points on your score sheet is the drive straight up. That is a straight drive. It's not, you know, where you're off to the side and you're being parallel. And whether you're doing left-handed or right-handed, which is optional, on when you're sanctioning your trial, when you're running your trial, you could do this in mirror through this on a cross drive to the left. These days, this is a simple daylighting. I've had judges come up to me that weren't giving course points for this because they treated this like if it was the mirror vision. They treated that like it was the course B, second obstacle, daylighting lines. And it's a simple daylighting. If they go the wrong way, you push them just past the in-line of the panel. There's no box. Every single obstacle, if they come in the wrong way, it's a simple push them back to exit and back up through the entrance the right way. Every single one of them, there's no complicated box that you have to daylight past. This here was created, I have a large field that my livestock run out in, and I have a large pond right here. And I have a gate right in the middle that they have to come through on a cross fence here. I do not want my sheep swam through my pond. So you have to flank your dog offline and you have to do a parallel drag or a parallel around the pond and bring them, put them back up on the levee. As you come to this levee, you need to be a little precise because the sheep will go right around that pond again and ditch your dog and you won't get them pinned. So that was what that's designed for. I know some of you live in a really steep hill country, and I know you do not have your dogs bring them across the cliff, that you navigate them across the ridge on the other side and bring them up another draw. That's the principle of the sweep through the center line. As you come through this obstacle here, which if they went the wrong way, you would daylight them this way, turn them back around and come down here. Now I had arguments in the Stockdog committee is why can't you just come straight down this way, or like course F, you just fall down to the center pin. That's not the way the course is designed. If they do go that way, then there's control points that you would dock for that. And then the pin. So as soon as they clear this obstacle, the daylighting line of this obstacle, they can open their pin. Now some people, they may be down here by the time the stock clear here and have their gate open. The gate opens. Like I was looking at the pet cattle arena last night, that gate swung open and the handler could almost stand right here, and that would be kind of like a stock trailer against the fence. That's the kind of the idea that you know, I sometimes have to load my stock trailer out in the open and I'll use some kind of a barrier to bring, you know, it's hard to get 75 head of sheep in a stock trailer without having some kind of a barrier. That's basically what that's supposed to represent. Close your gate, control points. So there is a way you don't have to just dump them out and let them just fall to the center pin. You can control the stock so the dog has control, so you can get your repin points and have control rather than just dumping them out and let them run down to the center pin or to the repin. The open handles line is 25 feet off of these panels, and I understand that the new one in the ducks is different for in the ducks. You kept it same for these courses, but A and B you've changed. Yeah. Any questions on what I've? Yeah.
The mandatory attempts for this pin that's so close to the rear line.
This one right here.
Yes.
Awesome.
I've seen a lot of inconsistency from the judging, and I don't see a guideline on that.
On the pin here for the management runaway lines.
Attempts.
The attempt line for obstacle 4 and 5 is the back fence here.
So the confusion is when they come out of 4 and they get all the way to the back fence, that is a mandatory first attempt, is that correct?
Right, that's how it's written.
But I
One or
don't see
more.
it's written in here anywhere.
Yeah,
That's the
it's,
problem.
there is,
I might not be able to find it. That's the
it's
problem.
probably in the section where it says attempts.
But it's not under the description of that course. That's where you get in the argument with the camp.
I agree. It's been quite a process looking for all the little sections. All the way from California.
So page 13 and 14 in the rule book describes D-course. But nowhere in this description does it talk about mandatory attempts. We have to go somewhere else. Is that what we're saying?
Just like everything else in the river.
It's,
Yeah, I mean,
That's the reason it takes 3 days for us to do our test.
yep. Exactly.
3?
Yeah, every time I think it, it's good.
Well, if it's not in there, I think it needs to be really addressed and put in.
Well, first of all, we agree that once one or more stock hits that back fence, it's mandatory attempt.
Well, it
Is
should,
that right?
we should have those in place for advice.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I read it, I didn't highlight it, so, it'll probably take me another 5 days to find it.
We'll look for it where you want. Go on.
I believe it's probably been put with the section where it tells you about attempts. That would be mine. Yeah. The other thing as far as judges, when you go to a trial and you see the arena and you see it set up, sometimes every arena is different. So the way these are set up in percentages, it may look different. Like, for instance, the course in the sheep arena looked way different than the course that was set up in the cattle arena. And that's because the way the percentage goes, this part stays always the same. You always set up this panel first when you're doing in the arena, and then everything is based off this one. This is 20% of the arena length off the back fence, and 15% from this outside panel from the side fence. Once you get that, you can measure your advanced handler's line down. There's a little clause in here that says that arenas, for your advanced handler's line, that where arenas are, it would be on page 14, on where it says K handler's line, that in arenas that are 250 feet, half of 250 feet is 125. These courses, the maximum length of the advanced handler line is 125. So arenas that are smaller than 250, you shrink the advanced handler line. This obstacle where advanced handler, it starts crawling up according to half the distance of the arena. So you take the distance of the arena, you divide it by 2, the half of the length from here to here. So both arenas, whatever size your arena is, your advanced handler line is going to get smaller. So it allows more room on the bottom here for crunching. If you look at the diagram, which I understand is it's going to be changed, that these diagrams are set up for a 100 by 200 arena. So I've gone to trials and it was in a large arena and they had a 100-foot handler's line. Well, that's wrong. That's fine for a 200-foot arena, but for a 350-foot arena, that's wrong dimension. It should be 125 because it's over the 250-foot line. So you have to kind of look at that and see. You don't know until you ask them what the dimensions are of the arena. You have questions about
I
that?
was just gonna tell you, it's on page 8, section.
Runway line. There you go.
D.
311.5D.
Yeah. See, I was right.
It is there.
Yeah.
I knew it says it's, we couldn't find it.
So should that be reprinted on each course, or?
It says D.
We're working on that.
It's on runaway, yeah, it's on runaway lines with all the courses. The other part is like, so you go in an arena or you go to a trial and you see all this space down here, or you see the panels like really far off the fence, it's because it's a wider arena. This floats off the arena so there's more room on the outside. Most of the complaints of this course, because everybody tries to run the courses in little itty bitty arenas. And, you know, it works, it really asks, you know, some of the judges that have judged it in the bigger arenas, the dogs aren't struggling like they are struggling in the small arenas, are really tight.
But if I have a smaller arena, I can sanction a C course. It has to be 150 by 200.
I would suggest you use course E.
Yeah, but I can set up the F courses with a smaller arena.
You can with E too. E is more simple as far as, it has the same amount of obstacle, but the way that they are set, it's a little bit, it's my favorite cattle course. It flows easier.
So to be consistent in all the courses, you should be able to set up a C course on a smaller arena.
No, you can't. Yeah, the reason why is because in course C, you got 2 panels on both sides, and they're taking up the width this way. And if you do put it in the middle, you have another 10-foot middle that you're figure eight, and I wasn't intending on pole bending. It's just, that would be mechanical. Yeah, that's why, and you know, the cry was we wanted to work in a minimum size to the larger size. So, you know, I understand that the transition course A has made over the years. It has changed. And you know, we're working the kinks out, but it's still a really fun course. I think we can move on to the next course.
So how many feet is that pin on P course from side pins?
20% of the width of
What
the
is
rim.
that for a 250?
It's 20 feet, I believe. No, it's
14.
What is it for side?
20%.
1 by 2, and it's 20% upside, it's gonna be 20 feet off the
Yeah,
side.
that's the minimum that, it was a larger, but it got shrunk down already, trying to make it fit for
The reason
people.
I say that is because it doesn't take much to make 2 tins.
Yeah.
You're right there. I mean, nothing at all.
I agree with that. You know,
I'm
it's-
saying, there you go.
Moves quick.
This is that same course.
Oh, in the reverse part, yeah. So when I've had judges, when they look at it this way, they just instinctually think this is course B, second obstacle. Stock goes the back way. They don't give course points because it wasn't daylighted. And it's a simple daylighting, that's the daylighting line right there. That you just back and forth to make the stock. You don't have to go past that daylighting line. Course E. Pardon me on this one for a while. So I think this one has had some changes, dramatic changes. Same thing, it could be a take pin, it could be a set out where you send your dog from at the center, at the advanced handles line. That may be clarified in all of them, better wordage. I mean, it says it in all the, like in course C too, on that says at the center, at the advanced handle line. It can even be changed. It was intended that one day you use a tape pen and the next day, if you felt that you could, you know, or you used a dropout the next day, you can change, and for whatever reason it wasn't working right, that you can go back to the tape pen or it was safe. It wasn't meant that it had to be in stone, whether you changed it for a dropout to a tape pen. The idea was optional, but worked with the situation. I've been to trials that did not have a very good tape pen situation or vice versa, and trying to make it work, it was nice to have it optional. That was the idea, designing courses so that it fit, you know, everybody's area. That wasn't just written in stone that had to be, you know, tape pen or gather. You do have to go straight up the middle. This is obstacle 1. And as from here to here, that's your obstacle 2 and drive, this is your straight drive. Across drive through, obstacle 3, which is off the fence, and this is set at a 45-degree angle, and the 20% to the back and the 20% here, and that's to the center of the opening on the obstacle. And then control points through obstacle 5, this becomes, well actually obstacle 4 right here. This becomes the line that they daylight to complete number 4. And then the crook between here, this is the whole setup and control points through entrance, exit of the center, the elbow. And this is all written in gray. It's all brand new wordage on page 16, obstacle number 5. To clarify how to score it. Now, the history on this obstacle, it actually is a simulation of what I have to deal with, bringing my livestock over the hill between the feedlot and the duck arena, between the sheep barn, and I have to make an exit into my sheep arena without losing them down the alleyways. This technically alleyway, sheep coming over the hill, you have to block an area without your dog blowing the stock over you so hard and navigate your dog so you can make it in a gate. I'm sure that people have had to bring livestock down a road and make it into a turn on the road. It's all the same kind of a situation but put into a trial course. It does take teamwork. Your dog and you have to work together and cover the draws. As a judging aspect, yes, it can be difficult because stock just don't follow the arrows. They can go that way, they can go this way, they can go that way, they can go here, you can, and so the Stockdog committee reworded it so that you do have to enter at least one head through this spot right here, this line right here, that's the entrance line. And I suggested on the new drawings that are going to go in that needs to have an enter line on that department right there. And then this is the exit line. So say one enters and the other ones go this way or that way or whichever way, but you get one entrance but you don't make anything through here and you have to gather them back up, then you have to bring them back down through here, so maybe they split up and you get one through the chute part of it to exit, to complete the obstacle. And I believe it's really, you have to really read it clearly and carefully. The gist of it is that I feel in my area, if I can get my sheep over the hill and make one of those, navigate one of those hills and get them in the alleyway, I am closer to penning my sheep than and getting some kind of control. If I don't get them through the chute part, that should be deducted. You can deduct, and it says that you can deduct course points accordingly. If you don't, you get some through here or maybe one through here, you don't get all of them. There's a combination between here and here that is to the judge's discretion of how many course points you can give. The ideal would be all of them and make the turn, and that would be your control points, where you'd be using your control points to deduct or keep for the way the dog does as good as the dog does it or doesn't do it, or the degree of difficulty of livestock. You can use that whole part of the degree of difficulty. I know that there are some livestocks. We have run dairy calves on that obstacle.
So you're saying at least one head has to make that dog lead though?
Yes, exactly. This one right here, yep. It has to enter. At least one has to enter, yes.
If I'm coming down, I've got 5 course points, is that correct?
If you come down through here.
Right, maximum is 5 that I can.
Right, that's, well, this is a different obstacle. That's number 4. You got to complete that or make an attempt to that before you can attempt number 5.
Judged separately.
Yes.
They're judged separately.
Yeah. This is number 4.
I should know that.
And then number 5 is this right here, which you need to have that listed on your drawing. There is no 5. Oh, yes, it is over here. It just needs to be kind of probably over here.
Yeah, I've already marked that.
And this would be the same as control and setup. So on your score sheet, where it says setup and control points to the center, that would be just that little short turn in that part of the course, all the way through, because it says work at the center, which will work at the elbow. So this turn and then work through to completion, that would be your control points part.
Well, the part I heard was that course points are now discretionary on the judge in this obstacle. Is that what you just said?
Yes, you read it on page 16, obstacle 5. Yeah,
The last sentence.
this is new wordage. This is page
Judge
17.
1, 2, and 3 at our discretion. And then at the award ceremony, when we pass those sheets out, what do you think's gonna happen?
Mark, it says, if the livestock failed to move through one or both of the openings, course points will be deducted accordingly. It's not giving you the option to give 3 if they get all 5.
I know what it says in words, but I heard her say it's our discretion, and I just wanted to
Okay,
clarify that.
I would read this.
Okay.
I read it once.
That is your calculation on the discretion.
And staying on that same vein, I have the same concern as the very first description. Obstacle 5 is an L-shaped obstacle. So it's one obstacle according to the way that's written.
Right.
Made up of 2 openings and must be completed in one single L-shaped manner motion.
Yes, that is.
That's the ideal path.
Right,
there's
but
2.
the description is far different than the score sheet.
Yeah.
In that the score sheet is there to be individually judged. They have,
You have obstacle 4 and obstacle 5.
No, it says it's an obstacle made up of 2 openings,
Yes.
not 2 obstacles.
Try judging it. You gotta really pay attention. Because when they go through that opening between 4 and 5, and they don't they make that L, it's supposed to be one motion. But you only have one, if you only want one head to go through, you only have, starting out with one course point there with one head. Well, they gotta go through the exit, so one head has to go through the exit to get that point. It's really difficult for you to keep track of all that unless they make that L, and it's easy to see. But you still only have, you only have one go through the entrance, you can only count one going through the exit.
then there's 10 course points
You only
there.
get one more.
4 the other way.
Pardon me? If you have 4 through the entrance and 1 through the exit, you still get 1 point. Right? That's how I read it. One course point, right, not your control.
One head.
Well, it's,
And it's still called the center obstacle on the score sheet until they correct it.
what's that?
Until they
Still
correct the
obstacle 4.
score sheet, it's still called center obstacle.
Obstacle 4. Yeah.
No, the 5. The obstacle 5. 5.
Yeah, the bottom one is 5 on
That's 5.
No, no.
on your D and F
On your
score
We're
sheet.
talking about,
Which is
what
not
I'm
a score
talking about is giving that obstacle
Oh,
course point.
it's considered the center.
To get anywhere,
Setup
you have
course
to,
work.
you have to
Whatever,
go
center-
through there.
It's considered the center obstacle.
That makes sense.
So when we judge it, you can get 5 coming back through 4, 5 head through 4, and get 5 points. And if some dogs are able to work slow enough, let them see and make that turn, and they get 5 for the next one. But if you get 5 and then they go straight ahead in a rush, you
And you
gotta
never
bring
get
them
them back down
back.
to the chute, then you
Yeah.
now they will use discretion to divide it, whatever, because they didn't complete the end.
There's almost 2 openings to obstacle 5. There's the,
There is.
There's an entrance and an exit.
And there's the
Yeah.
entrance.
So the number that goes through the entrance is the maximum number they can get. So if only 3 go through the entrance, then you can't score any more than 3. And then however go through the exit.
And was it
more
the
than
same
3
3?
is maximum.
Yeah, the same carrier.
What if three go through the entrance and two come out? And you don't take two, right? Still, it's whatever comes out.
Well, but if only one goes through, still on the
Exactly. Yeah,
But
they
the
have to go in
entrance
and
is
out.
comprised of two segments, so they have to go there to here is where they end.
So you're messing with 60 points on somebody's run for right there. Well, 10 course and 15.
No, there's only 5. There's only 5.
If they divide that entrance, it's not just this.
That's going down. That's the proposed one.
Oh, for
You were in there.
But you can go through the entrance and then kind of go north again and do a loop and then come down.
Certainly can. And that's deducted only by control patrol, unless she's done it.
I think if you read it, it makes sense.
Yeah, if you read it. And you can interpret it. Yes, you can number 1,000 numbers of scenarios.
It reads very well, but when you put it into application, it becomes harder to determine what's going
It's
on.
better, especially when you have scattery livestock.
Well, even if you have general livestock, sure, because I've seen
I know.
where they go through the Ford and one or two go through the 4 or 5 opening and then, and then they drop down, you got all 5 of them going through the chute.
Right.
You can only give 2.
The best thing would be it had its own score sheet, but, you know.
Well, it's the whole deal that, like she said, there's an entrance and there's an exit. So if they come in, one comes in here, it goes up there, and it comes around here, it has not made that an obstacle. If they come down here and they go like that, and then spin around and come around here, and come around and come down, right, you're hitting control, but say one of them came this way, and they came back and around, he's made that, but he has not made that exit. This is the way it has to be. They can't ring around the rosy and go this way and come back, They have to go this way and this way. To make that obstacle to get their course points.
So are you saying that if they do a couple of loop-de-loops down there, and they finally go the right way, they can count that as
If they
accomplished?
go the right way.
They can get their course points,
Right.
but you're gonna kill them on control.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a way that obstacle has to be made. In and out. It's 90-90 is the way that obstacle.
Right.
It's like making a center. You
So we're
have
not
to
gonna
come in
say
this
they're ever
way.
off course.
Never off course.
They're never off course.
Well, they have to complete it.
What do you mean they're not?
Correct, Ken, you're right, correct.
Yeah.
Right. So whichever way they get to finish it, if they started it,
They can go clear back up and come down.
they have to start it, and they have to finish it, and they can do any number of pages.
And they go in the entrance and go then up around the obstacle 3 and then finish. They get their course, but their control is
So,
gonna be.
I'm gonna ask you a question, so the discretionary, so.
Hey, guys.
The part where you change the wordage on this, are you saying, like, say you had 3 that you're running through, you had 3 that came through here, but you only exited 1, that's the part where the judge can decide whether you're gonna get 5, 4, or 3 points?
Yes.
Do you understand that? Does everybody understand that?
Repeat it.
What'd you say?
So, the way the wordage is, because they changed the wordage, so this is how I understand it. Say you're running 3 head, you got 3 head through here, and they kind of do whatever, and you've got them lined back out, but you only get 1 through the chute. That's the part where the judge can decide whether you get 5 points, 3 points, according to you only got 1 through here, but you got 3 through that obstacle.
No, I don't read that at all.
I don't see
That's
how
how-
you
that's-
get, I don't see how you get 5 points.
That's not what.
You didn't finish it.
Yes,
It's not off the subject, but it's a set up and work at center obstacle. I think we should just add obstacle 5 there on the score sheet so it doesn't confuse
Yeah, that would probably be obstacle 5.
Because everything is set up and work five. And on the score sheet, it says set up and work at center obstacle. We should just add obstacle 5 onto the score sheet. Because that is not.
Work at a center, we could just call it.
I'd just say obstacle 5 to clarify it.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to do.
It was easier to judge before they clarified.
That's because before we clarified it, you didn't have to do an L.
I'll tell you, the hard
It
part,
has to be in a one.
the hard part for me judging this was up in Oregon. And man, when it got right down to that, it was like a bee's nest. I had them going this way and that way and reversing and dogs and handlers, and I was sitting there scratching my head, which way do I count this, you know? I'd get 2 or 3 through the first panel entrance, and then it'd just be a bee's nest, and they'd have to pull them off the fence, and they'd go up through the middle of it, the chute, or what you want to call it, the elbow. They'd go up through the middle of it and then split around, and it's hard to keep track when you got, you know, which one did I count, which one didn't I count, is that one, that's something that's going to have to be.
Well, right here it says, when at least one head of stock passes through the parallel panels, which I'm taking as the bottom half, then no further course points may be counted. So if you get 3 or 5 head through the first portion of it, between panel 4 and 5, and something goes out around above there, and one head slips down through it, and then the others go back, and you push them back and try to push them through, you're still not going to get more course points.
Just
You've
like
already
on
blew
A course, it's the same as A course.
I
One's
understand
ahead
that, but
comes.
I'm just saying, the way this is written up, it gets confusing when you're there trying to judge it and count it.
Where's the daylighting on that then, this side of it, right?
They got a
Right
few
there, they
too
got
many
to go to the
openings.
2 openings, correct?
They let her go back to the entrance.
Two entrances, right?
Black one with the white
Yeah,
spot on
one
the roof.
black one or one white spot on it goes.
Entrance for 5 is the line.
Yeah, but if that's the entrance, they would have to make that L in order to be daylight.
Daylight, you gotta go back to the
You're
entrance.
supposed to write a note inside out and says, the one with a black spot on the head.
Forget about that, just drive around and start them all over.
Yeah, can you do that again?
That's a good idea.
Are we ready to move on to F, please?
All right, guys, to let you know, the general public is in. That's it.
So F is all the same in the approach up the middle. Take pen or let out, standing at your advanced handle line for your outrun lift. Number 1, drive up through number 2. Now this panel is the same as course E, third obstacle also, the same, which is a change. It is a change because you dropped it down on the arena
Yes,
here.
and we turned it.
It's a change, and then the center is also changed too. This obstacle used to be way over here, and so it's simplified, taking one panel away and just put it here to where, and they come through here. And then this is where I've had arguments, well, why can't you just come straight down here? Well, you gotta go around the pond before you can do the center pin. If they don't go around the pond, it's subject to control points deduction. Simple as that, because that's.
Can you get course points if you don't go through that gap that's 100 foot wide?
This one right here?
No, after you do 4, if you do not go between.
There to the side.
No, move
This
to
one
your
here?
right, no, the other way.
Here?
If you do not go through that opening,
There's no daylighting here. There's the
Set
completion
up for-
one right here.
set
Entrance,
up for
exit,
obstacle 5, the way it's written.
control points
If you
2.
do not follow that arrow, you cannot get course points. Is that what we're saying?
Number 5 is the center pin for course points.
So you still.
This is set up and control to that wording to go on number
How about course
5.
points for obstacle 4?
Entrance, exit,
Okay.
simple.
Because it's
No.
not in the rule book if you
No,
come down to.
no, there's never been any daylighting. No.
So it's not a required opening, then it's a suggested.
This is an opening right here.
No, I'm
I'm talking about over at the,
This is a suggestion. This is the ideal path. Anything else is no different than you're in course A and your drive goes up the right side and you can't get them there, you go around this way now. It's the same deduction.
Has it always been that way?
It has always been that
Because we
way.
were at a trial
No,
where
that's not what.
she came through obstacle 4 and they're very fetchy, and then they came boom right through obstacle 1 and we were getting 0 course points.
Somebody was judging it wrong.
Yeah, that's
But
not
they
right.
should, I thought it's in the rule book. I thought you found it in
No,
the
never
rule
has
book.
been in the rule book that way.
Can't be right.
Those are just control
This is
points.
just this is losing control, that's all that is, lack of control. Not the ideal one, yeah.
So ideally, you want them to go, when they get to obstacle 4, they want to go through there.
Yeah, through and around to 5. As soon as they complete daylight that line right there, they're on number 5. You're doing setup and control to number 5.
So if they go through 1 again,
You get 1 course points for, if they go through 1, you're losing control points to the center.
they're taking a shortcut, in other words.
They're taking a shortcut. Through the pond. Through the pond.
well, they're needing control points because they did a better job.
No, that's a shortcut there.
That was the other, before they had turned.
I like it better when you point.
Just picture them swimming across the pond.
Yeah, hey, I got it. They go through that one, the whole thing, break it, come on, baby.
Any questions
That's what you can.
on
Jeff,
F?
I got a quick question on exiting the obstacle, the pin. Do they have to come that side of the pin? Is that
You can
a,
pin any way you want to.
any direction to go to the repin?
Any way you want to. The idea, there is 10 control points from here to there. If you just let them out and spill out, you're,
No, but I mean, can you go around, does it matter which direction around the pin?
ideal path, the most direct path to your take pin. Or repin.
You just go to a direct route to take it.
There you go.
But if it's that spot here, I mean,
I wanted it on the side of my repin, so I.
Okay. Okay, I'll answer more questions, otherwise I'm done.
so ask the concession.
Yeah, because they weren't here for D.
So I understand we have some contestants that have arrived now. Some of you actually got to listen to F, but did you see E and D?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna redo it,
Okay, thanks.
yeah.
So back to D.
Yeah. Tom, D.
They're working you hard.
You guys, as course directors, whenever you're setting up these courses, D, E, and F, always set up obstacle 2 first. Everything works off obstacle 2. You set up obstacle 2, other than the center pin, everything falls into place. So don't try to set up 1 before 2. Start with obstacle 2.
That's all we can do.
All right. Oh, now I gotta change gears, not the judges and contestants.
Yeah, just ask if they need, do they need to explain?
Well, yeah. Any questions first on course D? We're gonna talk about course D, contestants. As a contestant and running the course. So I hand out these.
What is the purpose of having some of the panels this way and then the other ones?
That's the way the drawing is. You mean in the drawing?
For option 3, on course D, it's horizontal. And then course E and F, they're.
F used to be other than.
The difference in the 45s, you